starting. Okay. So first part, before you start, you need to know Dalton's atomic theory. It's basically just this, what you had studied pehle, ki according to Dalton's atomic theory, all matter, whether it's an element, compound, mixture, composed, like whatever it is composed of small particles called atoms. And atoms are indivisible and they're like the smallest particles known. This was during Dalton's time, that's why it's his theory. And Dalton's time was 1800s. I can't remember if it was 1830s or 1860s, but definitely in the 1800s. Okay. So tab tak, the level that scientists, like people, could go down to was only the atomic level. Okay. So then when people started doing more experiments with materials, there's a lot of interlap between chemistry and physics when you're talking about electrons and all. Okay. Do you guys know what electricity is? Like, you know of electricity, no? Light chalta hai, fan chalta hai, electronic equipment chalta hai. But do you know, like, what is electricity? Like, electricity hota kyun hai? What is it at the base level? Any idea?
That is just
Energy.
It is a form of energy, yes. But like, why can we switch on light with electrical energy but not?
Can we say that it's a reaction?
Not exactly. Interesting. Oh, Sujal got it. Sujal is saying charged electrons, which is the closest answer out of all. So electricity is literally the flow of electrons. Okay, it's literally like if there is electricity in wire, it is because electrons are flowing through that wire. So this, you'll study more about it in 10th standard. Like there's a whole chapter about electricity. But for now, just know that electricity is basically flow of electrons. So obviously, like when people were experimenting with electricity, usme magnets laga lo and increase and decrease the quantity of electricity. And of course, chemical reactions also, you know, some of them generated electricity. Like when people were doing all of this, they started questioning कि charged particles क्यों होते हैं? Like where are these charged particles coming from? In 7th or 8th, you guys must have studied about static electricity, right? Do you remember anything about that? Anyone? What do you remember about static electricity?
ma'am, it occurs when two objects are rubbed against each other.
Yes.
Like two surfaces.
Yeah. It's like balloon, you rub it against like dry sweater or dry hair. It starts sticking,
Yeah.
right?
And then your
Caused
hair
by
is
friction.
attracted to the balloon.
So static electricity. So what happens is when you rub those two objects close to each other, there is some charge that's coming up. Like एक के ऊपर positive charge आ रहा है, दूसरे के ऊपर negative charge आ रहा है. That's why they're like sticking together, right? So where is this charge coming from? Like people started looking into it, and that's when they figured ki, okay, they put 2 and 2 together. Things like even balloons are made up of atoms, and if you're rubbing two things with each other, you're basically rubbing all of these atoms against one another, which means that atoms must be the ones that contain these charges. Okay, so that's how, you know, they must have gotten an idea like that, and then they started working with that idea ki, okay, so atoms may charged particles hai. Charged particles matlab at that point of time they knew about positive charge and negative charge. Okay, so atoms may charges hote hain. Till now we thought that atoms were indivisible, but maybe they are divisible. Like maybe they have different like positive charge particles, negative charge particles. So taking that as the starting point, different people tried to propose key atomic structure क्या हो सकता है. Okay, so the first person to publish a paper about it was Thomson. So J.J. Thomson, he was the first scientist to propose a model. He had a model of the atom. What he said was, look, we know that atom has like positive charge and negative charge, right? We just need to figure out how those charges are arranged so that you have one particle called the atom. So he literally said, he took a chocolate chip cookie and he's like, atom dikhta hai aise, so he said the cookie part of it was all positive charge, and the chocolate chips that are there in the cookie are basically your negatively charged particles. So that's what he proposed. Or other analogies, Christmas pudding cake, where the electrons were the dry fruits inside the sphere of positive charge of a spherical pudding. Or another way to visualize, he also said, is think of a watermelon. So the red color part is the positive charge and the seeds inside it are electrons. So that's the kind of theory that he put forward. Okay, so which fits to a certain extent that the knowledge that people had कि atom में दो तरह के charges होते हैं, which fits. He said कि the red, like the whole here is a figure, like this whole thing is a positively charged sphere और उसके अंदर negatively charged electrons होते हैं. So that much it fit. He said these are the postulates that he gave. An atom consists of a sphere of positive charge with negatively charged electrons embedded in it. The positive and negative charges in an atom are equal in magnitude, due to which an atom is electrically neutral. So around us, things are not flying around sticking to each other, right? Which means that, or they're not flying away from each other also. So normal default is that everything is neutral. कोई positive charge नहीं है, कोई negative charge नहीं है. So how did Thomson explain it is, atom में जितना भी positive charge है, that is equal to the negative charge particles that are embedded in it. That's why the overall atom is electrically neutral. It has no overall positive and negative charge. So these are the 2 points he gave. The drawback, then people started questioning, like this is what scientists do, this is what science is. You put a paper, you back it up with your mathematics, with experiments and all that, and other people raise questions wherever it's not going to fit. So people asked, how do you explain the stability of an atom? Now, why is there a problem with stability? Okay, what do you know about charges? Like if there's a positive charge and a negative charge, what will happen to both these charges?
They will attract.
They'll attract each other, right? Now we're saying there's a positively charged sphere and there's negatively charged things embedded in it. How is this able to stay exactly where they are? How come the negative charge is not just attracted by the positive charge, and like how are they held in place stably? Like how is it not collapsing? So that was the main problem that Thomson had with his model. Okay, and the other things, it could not explain the position of nucleus, it could not explain scattering of alpha particles. So these came into picture when other scientists started doing some other experiments with it. So case in point, Rutherford's model. Fun fact, Rutherford was a student of Thomson. So they based that's why they were studying the same thing. Like Thomson was, figuring out what is the structure of atom, and Rutherford like took it forward. Whatever Thomson could not explain, he tried, okay, let's do this and see if I get a explanation for this. Or let's do this and see if I get an explanation for this. वैसे करके, he basically said, oh, Thomson's model is completely wrong based on the experiments. Chain reaction. Oh yeah, like teacher, then the student continues them. Another fun fact, like Rutherford put forward a model of the atom. The next person after Rutherford, his name is Niels Bohr, and he was again a student of Rutherford. So it is a chain reaction. Yeah. So Rutherford designed an experiment which looks like this. Oh, plum pudding atom was Thomson's model, and Rutherford's atom. This is what he did. So what Rutherford did is like, so this whole thing is an experiment that everybody should know about. So this experiment is called Rutherford's alpha scattering experiment.
Ma'am, what are alpha particles again?
We'll do that. I'll explain each part of what this whole setup is, what are alpha particles, all of that. Okay. So this is the setup that Rutherford had. What you see on the left hand side. So यहाँ पे एक screen भी है. Imagine that. So this is what Rutherford had. Like all of this is enclosed by a screen. Yeah. So there is something like there is a source of alpha particles which is controlled by Rutherford. Like how many alpha particles can be thrown. So alpha particles are directed at, this is a gold foil. Oh, alpha scattering experiment, also called gold foil experiment. Rutherford's gold foil experiment, because of this reason. He used a gold foil here. Okay. So gold foil is exactly what it means. It's made of gold, like your normal jewelry jaise banta hai gold. But the main thing about the foil is that he took a really thin layer of gold. Like imagine sweets ke upar silver layer rehta hai na. Have you ever seen like how thin that layer is? Yeah. So it is as thin as that, maybe even thinner than that. So the main reason for taking that much of a thin gold foil is one, tab tak people knew about atomic masses. So gold ka mass was really high compared to hydrogen or sodium or copper or any other thing. So gold was like one of the highest weighing metals that people knew of. And second, so it had like really big atoms. People knew of that. Okay, maybe they didn't know the exact size, but compared to all the materials available, gold has big atoms. And the second reason is, so by taking an extremely thin layer of gold, Rutherford was trying to extract a layer that had barely, maybe very few atoms in the cross section. He wanted to get like just a layer of one or two, maybe 3-4 layers of like individual atoms. So that was his aim. He didn't want to fill it up with like so many atoms, which is what would have happened if you took like a solid block. He wanted to get like an extremely thin layer of just single digit number of atoms. So that was the reason he took gold foil. Like he took an extremely thin foil of gold. The screen. Okay, so before we talk about the screen, let's talk about alpha particles. So alpha particles are represented by He2+. Another way of representing them is by the Greek letter alpha. They're called alpha particles. So what are these particles? Are you guys familiar with radioactivity? Like the song Imagine Dragons ka Radioactive.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
What is your understanding of radioactivity? What do you think radioactivity is? Oh, let's forget about Imagine Dragons. Okay? Dragons are fictional, so that's fine. Focus on radioactivity. Have you guys seen the series Chernobyl, जो 1-2 साल पहले आया था?
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, a little bit.
You saw a little
It
bit.
was about a blast or something in Russia, I think.
Russia में there was a nuclear power plant.
It was the biggest blast, right? Radioactive blast.
Yes. Radioactive
yes,
blast. Yeah, it was
I remember that now.
explosion. Yeah. Okay, so nobody watched Chernobyl. ठीक है. So what do you understand by radio? Like, did you just hear about that word, but you don't know what it means, or like, what is your understanding?
So, like about a year back, when we were doing the project about, we had to research about the Chernobyl, that blast. So that's where I heard that word first.
Okay. Okay. No, I'm asking you guys because then based on that, I can explain to you. Like if you already have like a base understanding or something, I can pick up from there. Otherwise, I'll start it from scratch. So what do you know about radioactivity? Okay. Sujal is wondering.
Ma'am, nothing. I don't know nothing important about it.
Important, not important, don't worry about that. Just tell me what you know. Like if it's completely wrong, then I'll tell you what is right. Otherwise, I'll build off of that. That's fine.
Ma'am, like it's an experiment of atoms. I guess to prove some theory maybe. I don't know.
Okay. It's not an experiment. It's a natural phenomenon. कुछ atoms में होता ही है, कुछ atoms में नहीं होता है. It's like that. Okay, we'll start from scratch then. I'll assume that you guys don't know about it. Sujal saying it's something related to ions. Kind of, I'd say like very, very far away. Swani is saying emitting radiations. Absolutely. It's losing energy. Yes, you guys are very, very close to it. Okay. So what happens is, I'm just gonna like, right now we're studying history of the structure of atom, but you guys must have an idea of the atom mein kya hota hai, right? Protons, neutrons, electrons.
Yes, ma'am.
So how exactly are these protons, neutrons, electrons arranged atom mein?
Ma'am, like in a pair of 8 and in different shells, like there are 4 shells.
Ma'am, like
Electron.
K element shells like that, right, ma'am?
So K element shells, as you said, like set of 8, 2, 8, 8, all of that. Protons, neutrons, electrons, all of them are arranged like that?
No, only
No,
electrons.
No, ma'am. Only electrons.
Then what
Neutrons and
Ma'am, the
neutrons and
center is
protons
made
are
up
in
of
the nucleus. in the
yeah,
nucleus in the center.
nucleus.
That's right, nucleus. Now, so what happens is nucleus hai, which has protons and neutrons, and electrons are of course like all around the nucleus. Sometimes what happens is when there are so many protons and neutrons, when the nucleus is not able to hold those many protons and neutrons. So protons and neutrons are tightly packed here. Protons में किस तरह के charge होता है?
Positive charge.
Positive charge.
Positive charge. So if I pack all the protons in the nucleus itself, what will happen when I put two protons close to each other?
They will repel.
They will repel.
Well, right? So that's why neutrons kind of act like, mediators by preventing these protons from, repelling each other and completely breaking the atom down. But that is not the case in all the atoms. Sometimes what happens is when the nucleus is extremely unstable, the nucleus can be unstable. This happens when the nucleus is extremely large. Like imagine if something is made of 100 protons and 100 neutrons or something like that. When you have extremely large nucleus, it is unstable and it breaks down on its own. So a single atom breaking down into smaller pieces So that process is called fission. So you have nuclear fission, nuclear fusion. And fission is like when a nucleus of an atom, or in general, like an atom just breaks down into two smaller pieces. Okay. So what happens when it breaks down is, one, obviously, like pehle 100 protons the, and when it breaks down into smaller pieces, let's say we get some other element with 70 protons and another element with 68 protons. These two atoms are formed. 68 नहीं ज़्यादा हो गया ना? Law of conservation of mass. Let's say 28 protons. So 70 plus 28 is 98, but law of conservation of mass 100 होना चाहिए. So plus 2 more protons are there, right? So when fission happens, a big element breaks down into two smaller elements. Along with that, in order to satisfy law of conservation of mass, law of conservation of energy, you have other particles being emitted. Okay, so there's energy, lots of energy being released. And within this energy, within these radiations that you guys were talking about, they lose energy, emissions of radiations and all. There are other smaller particles that are not quite atoms or not quite elements. They're just random particles. Set of 2 electrons are going here, or maybe just a set of 2 protons and 2 neutrons are going without any electrons. So these kind of particles, they don't form a complete element, but still they are some random particles made up of protons or neutrons or electrons, like any 1 or 2 of those things. So alpha particles are one of that kind of, it's that kind of particle. So alpha particles is, and it is represented as He2+ because it is similar to a helium atom without the electrons. So basically it's just a particle that consists of 2 protons plus 2 neutrons. Okay. Similarly, you have beta particles, which is basically an independent electron, and then you have like gamma radiations. So there are, and then you have neutrinos, individual neutrons are also released. So you have like so many different particles that are released in this process of fission. Okay, so alpha particles are one of those sort of particles. Okay, make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll tell you, yeah, Chernobyl explosion, since a lot of you are familiar with, I'll just like tell you what happened during that. So uranium is naturally radioactive, okay? Uranium is an element, just like sodium, potassium, magnesium, वैसे uranium is one element, इसका symbol है U. इसका atomic number है 92 and mass number is 238. Imagine, like, it's a massive atom. So what happens is, when you take this uranium atom and shoot it with a neutron, like there's a big uranium particle, shoot it with a neutron, it basically breaks down into 2 smaller elements. I don't remember which elements these are. I think one of them is beryllium or something, something else also. Plus this produces 3 more neutrons. So these 3 more neutrons, again, in turn, you know, they attack 3 more uranium particles, and then they cause like iska hi fission. Again, each one will produce like 3 neutrons each. So that's how the radioactivity of uranium happens. And yeah, so Chernobyl mein kya hua tha, like when people discovered radioactivity and then they figured out ki radioactive elements se itna energy aata hai, they built a whole facility, like they used precautions, they used coolants, they would like no humans would go near wherever the reaction is happening, like it's all enclosed in lead and then cement and all of these structures. But if you're careless about anything, like, I mean, it's a natural process, right? And it's not something you're controlling. वो reaction अपने आप होता रहता है. So when this goes out of control, if somebody is not controlling कि कितना energy release हो रहा है and कितना neutrons release हो रहे हैं और कितना uranium, how much fuel you're feeding it, like if any one part of this is not controlled, this can go out of control. So this is the principle behind your atom bomb that happened in World War II. So this is how atom bombs were made. Like they took like 3 grams of uranium, I think. So chota sa bomb mein they took like 3 grams of uranium, and then must have had some radioactive particle like shooting a neutron or something. But somehow they initiated like this particular reaction. So even if one atom is hit, this causes like a big chain reaction, releases a whole bunch of energy. So that's the principle behind atom bomb. The good side of this is they tried to generate electricity from this process, convert this nuclear energy into electrical energy. Renewable hai na, you're not burning any coal, you're not producing any pollution, but it's like a high risk, high reward thing. Renewable hai, lekin it's very, very dangerous, which is what happened in Chernobyl, and it was disastrous. But eventually, nuclear energy has been harnessed. Tokyo May Fukushima reactor uses nuclear energy only, which is why when that earthquake happened, people are like, be very careful and all of that. But yeah, there's more research going on in this field. People are trying to use it for good measure. Okay, so this is like the really, really short, in a nutshell, kind of a thing about radioactivity. So result of radioactivity are your alpha particles, beta particles, neutrinos, gamma rays, all of that stuff. Okay, so coming back to Rutherford's experiment. So he took a tiny bit of, some all radioactivity is not bad, huh? It's only bad when it goes out of control. In fact, your own human body mein there is radioactivity. Like the bananas that you eat, they contain radioactive potassium, but it is like practically not detectable, so it's not like life threatening or dangerous or something. It like uska kaam wo dekh raha hai, that's it. Okay. Yeah, Swayam, what's up? What happened, Swayam? Swayam, in case you're speaking, I think you're under mute, can't hear you. No, you are not muted, but you're not audible. Okay, I think he's reconnecting. Okay, Rutherford, coming back to his experiment, you have source of alpha particle, you have a extremely thin gold foil, a screen around it. Now the importance of the screen around the thing is to detect the alpha particle. Again, alpha particle are a result of radioactivity, right? So when you hit like a zinc sulfide screen or like certain materials, it starts glowing. Like you have glow in the dark stars and like the glow sticks and all of that, right? Similar thing, energy hits them, and because of that energy, there's a chemical reaction and that produces light. Okay, so let's see what happens when this is done. I'll let it run for a bit. So alpha particles, these purple things are alpha particles. They're going through it. Okay, what do you observe? Okay, what are your observations?
Like the alpha particles are like moving.
Some of them are getting kicked out.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Kicked out, matlab kicked out of where?
Like the frame.
मतलब all of them are eventually going out of the frame. नीचे से ऊपर जा रहे हैं.
And they're constantly going in one direction.
Yeah. So most of them are, if you see, these two are like constantly going undisturbed in the same direction. But there are like one, like this random one, like this random one that's like changing the direction.
Why does it feel like it's being repelled by the nucleus?
That's a good observation, Rani. That's excellent. So that is exactly what gave Rutherford a hint as to, you know, what is the structure of atom. Okay. So if you look at it, so this is what is happening. So if you focus only on the nucleus, you can see these are the alpha particles. The gray ones are neutrons, the red ones are protons. So alpha particles, you can see 2 red, 2 gray. This is like a gold atom, lots of protons, lots of neutrons. So if any alpha particle, only if it is coming close to the nucleus, it is getting repelled. Okay, so you can look at it. Let's zoom out, look at the whole atom. So this is how it's going. By contrast, let's see plum pudding model mein kya ho raha hai. Like if we go with Thomson's model, where he's saying pura electric, like positively charged hai or electrons beech mein hai. So let's see what happens.
Thomas just going through it.
Just going through it, which is ideally should not be correct, because the positive charge should repel it. I don't know why this thing is not doing that. Let's go back to the fourth model.
In this model, like as Suhani said, we can see like now I just noticed it right now that when the alpha particles get to the center, they just avoid it.
Yeah, so that's repulsion. So remember I said alpha particles were denoted as He2+. So alpha particles are positively charged particles. They have a positive charge. Okay. So so we'll see how Rutherford concluded, you know, based on the observations that he was getting. Okay, so we'll go back to this.
So ma'am, what should have been the observation in the plum pudding thing?
What do you think? Like, you know that positive charges repel each other. Thomson said, according to plum pudding, pura positive charge hai or negative charge beech mein hai. So if there is a positively charged particle coming towards it, what do you observe would happen?
It wouldn't even go near the part, like the atom itself. Like it would get repelled there itself.
Immediately 180 le, right? Yeah. So, but that was not what Rutherford observed. So, which is why, you know, Rutherford's experiment just like it turned it upside down. So Rutherford designed an experiment in order to know the position of the subatomic particles within the atom. So that was his intention. So Thomson could not explain how are the negatively charged things being held and, you know, where exactly they are placed, right? So Rutherford wanted to take it forward. Being his student, he wanted to do a good thing. So he was like, okay, let me do this experiment and it'll tell me, you know, where these negative charges are placed and all of that. So he made fast moving alpha particles to fall on a thin gold foil. And he expected that the alpha particles hitting on the surface would be deflected by the subatomic particles in the gold atom. This is what we theorized. It wouldn't even go near the atom. It's going to it'll get deflected like straight away. But what he actually observed was most of the fast moving alpha particles passed straight through the gold foil. That's what you also have seen. It's just like going through it. Some of the alpha particles were deflected by the foil by small angles. And surprisingly, 1 out of every 12,000, like very, very, very rare alpha particles appear to rebound. Rebound matlab just going straight and then coming back. Okay. So based on this observation, this is what Rutherford concluded. He said that most of the space inside the atom is empty. Tabhi to the alpha particles could pass through. If it was not empty, if we went with Thomson's model, nothing would go through. It would all be reflected. But because alpha particles could go through without any hindrance, he said that atom is majorly empty only. Very few particles were deflected their path, indicating that the positive charge of the atom occupies a very little space. So nucleus mein, the protons and neutrons are tightly held. They occupy a very tiny space. A very small fraction of alpha particles were deflected by very large angles, indicating that all the positive charge and mass were concentrated within a small volume of the atom. So this is the visual representation of the observations. Empty space hai, so इसलिए is going. Alpha particles are slightly deflected. That also we saw in that simulation. And only the alpha particles that went directly in the position where the nucleus was, only they could get turned around. Okay. So based on this, Rutherford gave his own points, postulates. An atom consists of positively charged, dense, and very small nucleus containing protons and neutrons. The entire mass of an atom is concentrated in the nucleus. The nucleus is surrounded by negatively charged electrons. The electrons are revolving around the nucleus in circular paths at very high speed. These circular paths of the electrons are called orbits. And the nucleus is surrounded by negatively charged electrons, so it's the same thing repeated. Okay. And the size of the nucleus is very small compared to the size of an atom. This will actually blow your mind, like how small it is. So once we are done discussing the model of the atom, I'll share with you guys a couple of videos that actually show what is the size of an atom, nucleus versus atom and all of that. Rutherford, so Thomson, though his theory was completely wrong. The only thing we could get out of Thomson's model is that there were negatively charged particles and this neutral banane ke liye there's a positively charged particles. Actually, why Thomson's model was important is because Thomson was the first person to discover that there is a thing called electron. So that is why once he figured out that electrons are proper particles that atoms have, he said, okay, so atoms are not indivisible. Atoms may be particles here called electrons. So let's see how they are arranged. So he just gave a very rudimentary model for atom. So his student Rutherford did more experiments to figure out the structure, and he's the one who came closer to figuring out how the structure of atom is. In fact, he gave the correct structure of atom. He just didn't back it up mathematically. Okay. So for example, drawback may here it mentions only one, that it does not explain the stability of an atom. I'll elaborate on, why it does not explain it. And he could not give any quantitative confirmations for it. What I mean is, Rutherford said that, okay, there's a nucleus and there's electrons revolving around it, but he could not say how far the electrons are moving. He could not explain, okay, is it one single electron in each orbit or are there multiple electrons in the same orbit? Like, how is this arrangement of electrons? So those details he could not give. He just said it in one line ki atom mein nucleus hota hai, nucleus mein you have protons and neutrons, and the electrons are orbiting around it. So he didn't give any further details than that. That was the drawback of Rutherford. And that was Rutherford's time. And then Niels Bohr was the one who actually he worked further on Rutherford's model. he took Rutherford's model as the base key. Okay, so there is nucleus and electrons revolve around it. And he sat down and did the work, and he came up with the correct theory of K shell, L shell, M shell. He's the one who predicted the radius of the atom. He's the one who predicted कि हर एक orbit में कितने electrons रह सकते हैं. All of those things. Okay. So Bohr से भी आगे you have quantum mechanical model of the atom. So the drawback with Bohr, like why I said at the beginning of the chapter, what you learn till here is like just 10%, why it's not 90%, is that Bohr could successfully explain this theory only for hydrogen atom. If anything more complicated than hydrogen, like if you were to talk about sodium or magnesium or even like helium, lithium, Bohr did not have an answer. So that was the drawback with Bohr, which other people built upon his model. And then, now we successfully know exactly how atom works, how electrons exist and all of that. Okay. So as Suhani is asking, how did he figure that out? So science is not like a single person thing. So simultaneously, when all of this was happening, quantum mechanics also was being studied. So you had something called black body radiation. Einstein discovered something called photoelectric effect. And you need to know like a lot of, the relation between energy and electrons. Electrons can revolve only in like certain energy levels and all of that. It gets a little complicated. So there's a lot of quantum mechanics involved. So because those new discoveries happened, others could figure it out. Like Bohr ke time pe, all of those other phenomenon were not known. So that's why Bohr was like stuck with this. Okay, so this like structure of the atom was a ongoing 100-year-old project. Like people could get the final answer for it only in like 1930s maybe. People could figure out the atomic number much later, like almost like 1940s, 1950s. Yeah, that was when people could successfully, be like, yeah, we figured it out. This is the structure of that. Something, and electrons were first, like Dalton put his theories forward in 1800s. So 1800s se 1900s tak, like it was like almost 100-year-old project. Okay. Bohr's model of the atom, he said, the how of it you guys will learn in 11th standard, like what experiments he did and all of that. There's something called spectroscopic studies, line spectrum and all of that. But here you'll just get like the short answer of it, which is Bohr said only certain special orbits known as discrete orbits of electrons are allowed inside the atom. Okay, so Rutherford said that electrons travel in orbits, but he didn't mention ki ye orbits kahan pe hai and all of that. So Bohr elaborated on this further, saying that electron can't revolve in random places. There are clearly defined places, like nucleus say, there can be an orbit at 52.9 picometers. It will not exist at 50 picometers or 60 picometers. It should be exactly at 52.9 picometers. So that's what he said. Only certain special orbits known as discrete orbits of electrons are allowed inside the atom. Okay, they're allowed only at certain distances. While revolving in discrete orbits, electrons do not radiate energy. This is an important point because this was a drawback of Rutherford. Okay, so the theory is like tab tak people were aware of charges because static electricity, current electricity, wo sab hai na. So the theory was that if there is a charged particle and if it is undergoing accelerated motion, then this charged particle, either positive or negative, they should lose energy. Okay. So Rutherford was the one who put forward key nucleus is there, and then electrons are revolving around it. Now, electrons are revolving. So circular motion, is it circular motion mein, is that accelerated or not accelerated? Do you guys know? Like, since you've done motion chapter,
Accelerated motion.
I'm accelerated.
accelerated, right? Correct. So any particle that has accelerated motion should lose energy. So based on that line, if electron is going in a circular orbit, it is undergoing, electron is a negatively charged particle and it's undergoing accelerated motion, which means that electron should lose energy. If it is losing energy, then slowly the radius should decrease, like the centripetal force, like the centrifugal force, the thing that balances decreases, kinetic energy decrease hoga. So slowly it should like spiral in and destroy the atom. But that's not happening because things around us, we exist, we are made of atoms. So Bohr said that, like, he gave specific calculation ki normally this happens, but if the electron travels in these specific orbits, like these special orbits, then they do not radiate energy. Like, they will have all their energy and they'll continuously keep revolving. So that's what Bohr said. These orbits are known as energy levels, and they are represented by KLM or the numbers n equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the thing that you're familiar with, that K shell, L shell, M shell. Yeah. So these shells are basically also called energy levels, and they are just the positions at which the electrons are orbiting around the nucleus. Okay, so that is the story of the structure of atom. Bohr was the first person to go at least like 90% correct. Okay, Thomson was like 0% correct. Next step, Rutherford had it at like 50-60% correct, and Bohr took it to like 90% correct. And then whatever further developments happened, like okay, did happen. Atomic number and mass number. Actually, before we get to this, let's look at questions. It'll be a change for you guys also. Thoda sa break bhi ho jayega. Instead of, otherwise it'll be like a lot of information. Just it was an information dump abhi, so let's take a little break.
Can I go get my charger really quick? Otherwise, my laptop will run out of battery.
Yeah. So I'll also like open the workbook. Take like 2-3 minutes if you need to get some water, like go to the bathroom, look after your charger and everything.
Okay.
This goes for all of you, huh? Like, Suhani is here. Just let me know, post on chat whenever you're ready, or you can switch on your video so I know that you're there. Yeah, just let me know when you're ready. Sujal, Swayam, Suhani. Samriti, Ashka, and Aryan. Samriti is also here. Swayam's excited also. Nice to see that energy. Ashka and Aryan. So the two people with A as the name. Aryan's back.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Okay. Okay. If you look at theory-based questions, these are going to be subjective because they're theory-based. So what is an atom? Brief note on Thomson's model and limitations. You just put down the postulates and drawbacks. Like you can take it directly, textbook mein hai, chapter notes mein hai, 2-3 points for each. Rutherford observations P, it's a direct question. It's there in the chapter notes, like that 2-3 points that we read. Same postulates of Bohr's model also. Yeah. So when you're practicing, you can like make a model of it. Take a table out of it. See, it can be like Rutherford, Bohr, Thomson. Then these are the postulates. These are the limitations. It'll be good. Like it'll be easy for you guys to revise. It'll be very short to write. Mass number, atomic number, isotopes, CSRA, we haven't. What do you understand by energy levels? Yeah.
Ma'am, so we should write it or should we like say it?
Say it abhi ke liye. We'll just quickly discuss. Write it after the class. That'll be a good revision. But abhi I'm just going to discuss orally only. Okay. What do you understand by energy levels? Who's gonna answer? Raise your hand.
Ma'am, is it the distance of the electrons from the nucleus?
Yeah. So you need to pick it directly from Bohr's postulate. You need to mention that they are allowed only at certain points. So only certain special orbits known as discrete orbits of electrons are allowed inside the atom. These orbits are known as energy levels. So you need to mention these keywords of certain special orbits, discrete orbit of electrons allowed inside the atom. Okay. So mention those keywords.
So it's the distance between the nucleus and the orbits, or the orbits are the energy level?
The orbits themselves are called energy levels. Like what Sujal said was correct. I was saying just be a little more specific. You know, the fact that electrons are allowed only there so that they don't radiate energy, like that part of it. So do you guys have canal rays and discovery of neutrons and all that? Like, do you have those experiments that you need to know? Like, have you done this in school?
No, ma'am. We haven't
No,
started.
we haven't
this.
started the chapter yet.
Oh. So Jill, like you were saying that in your class, this and atoms, molecules, साथ में चल रहे हैं.
Ma'am, like only basics, not everything. So what, like the structure and all. So ma'am is going to start the lesson again, I guess tomorrow.
So if at all these experiments, like as far as I know, they are not there. But in case they are there, let me know. I'll send you guys resources and we'll discuss this in the next class. Okay. But in short, who discovered neutrons is James Chadwick. What are canal rays is basically, this is how electrons were discovered. So there was a setup, cathode ray tube mein, there were something called canal rays, and canal rays occur because of electrons. They're like beams of electrons. On the basis of Rutherford's model, which subatomic particle is present in the nucleus?
Proton.
Protons, yes, correct. Draw a sketch of Bohr's model. Do you know how to draw the sketch?
Like this diagram of the atom with 3 shells.
Yeah, just draw concentric circles. Beach mein nucleus rahega, and this is the first shell, this is the second shell. Draw concentric circles, that is Bohr's model of the atom. Distribution of electrons, that's what we'll do, Abhi. See, again, we have limitations of Thomson's model, limitations of Rutherford's model. They're direct questions. Describe, whenever you come across something with description, it's the postulates that you need to know. Conclusions of Rutherford. Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment resulted in the discovery of electron, proton, nucleus, or atomic mass. Put your answer in the chat so that way I get to see everybody's.
Can you show the question? I didn't see.
So Rutherford's experiment, the alpha particle scattering experiment, resulted in the discovery of so which one among these was discovered by Rutherford? So Hani has already sent the answer, that is correct. Rest of you guys send it. No, these are the options that are there, Samriddhi. Electron, proton, nucleus, or atomic mass. In charo mein se ek. And subatomic particles pehle se pata tha na, like people knew of electrons. Protons pata nahi tha, but electrons to they knew. Thomson discovered electrons. Yeah, Samriddhi, yeah, the second answer is correct. Ashka, Aryan, Swayam, and Sujal. Missed the question. So Rutherford's experiment. Yeah, Suhani, absolutely. And that was the important thing. Like, it's not that single particle that he discovered, it's that fact that it exists. Like that. Where are you guys? Swayam, Aryan, Ashka, Sujal? You guys, like, if you're stuck, let me know, then I'll discuss it. Otherwise, Ashka, absolutely right. You are correct. The guys haven't answered, Abhi.
I'm answering.
Okay. the girls, like whoever has answered in the meantime, look at question number 18. Aryan, yes, you got it. इतना time क्यों लगा answer करने में?
Ma'am, I was checking the textbook. I was confused
Oh,
between proton and nucleus.
good.
Oh,
So I am. That's
my
fine.
mistake.
Yes. So Sujal,
1 second, I didn't see.
where are you at?
We can't delete it, right?
I don't think so. But that's fine. Like most of the people have sent answers anyway.
Yeah.
Only Sujal is left.
He's daydreaming.
I think Sujal's been having network issues. He's like disconnected and reconnected twice this session next week. Cool.
Yeah, also like my net is also like low. It's just saying your network is low.
Okay. So Suhani and Samriddhi have done 18 also. Others also look at it. Both of you
Really?
sent completely different answers. Let's see.
Which one? 18, right? Yeah.
Suhani answered it correctly. Samriddhi, check again.
Oh, ma'am, I is like Roman numerical design, so ABC.
Ha, niche the options are here. Like in Charo mein there's more than one correct answer. So look at these options. Ashka also got it.
Ma'am, I'm a little confused about what is the law of multiple proportions. So if you could just take a recap of that.
So conservation of mass, like matter cannot be created or destroyed. Reaction may, before reaction, whatever is the mass, after reaction, that only will be there. One moment. Samriddhi, no, not really. Aryan got it correctly. Swayam and Samriddhi, both of your answers are not correct. I'll discuss each of these. Usse answer, you'll like know the answer. Usse obvious ho jayega. Law of constant composition, or do you guys remember what is this? Pichle chapter mein we had studied.
Ma'am,
Law
I
of
guess
definite
it's both, right?
proportions. It has a definite
It's-
proportion.
Yes. Basically, this is law.
Ma'am, it's both, right? First and second is the answer. Both.
First, second, but these are the options, Swayam. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, wait. Okay. I directly gave the answer. Like, okay.
Law of definite proportion, like if you have a compound, usme jo bhi elements hai, they'll always be in the same thing. Like water will always have 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen. Sodium chloride, salt will always have 1 chlorine, 1 sodium. That. Swayam, now you got it. Abhi pura padne ke
Yeah.
baad, yes, now you got it.
No, actually, there was like stat section over there on the options.
Acha, oh,
That's
Swayam
why.
ne cover kara.
Yeah.
Law of radioactivity. There is nothing called law of radioactivity.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. Now, law of multiple proportion. So law of multiple proportion states that definite proportion is एक compound में different elements in the same ratio. Multiple proportion उसका reverse है. Like if the same elements make different compounds, like this carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. So carbon के साथ oxygen is the one that's changing the quantities. So when you take the ratio of oxygen in this compound versus oxygen in this compound, it's always in ratio of small whole numbers. Like यहाँ पे 1:2 ratio में है. Similarly, if you take water and hydrogen peroxide, so fixed quantity of hydrogen hai, so either be oxygen is the one that's changing the quantity. If you take ratio, again here also it's 1:2. Okay, so that is the law of multiple proportion. So this was the one that gave a hint towards atomic theory, because like if it's the same small ratio, like यहाँ पे 8 grams of oxygen है, यहाँ पे 16 grams of oxygen है. If the ratio is 1:2, you can kind of theorize कि 8 grams of oxygen makes 1 atom of oxygen. So that way you can figure out, अच्छा इसमें एक atom है, इसमें 2 atoms है, like 1 into 8 and 2 into 8, that way. Yeah, so that is the law of multiple proportion, and that's kind of how it helped in figuring out the concept that there are atoms in. Okay. Look at 19. Here also there are multiple statements that's correct. These are the options. Check it. So Rutherford's model statements, which of them are correct? Suhani has already answered. Yeah. Samriddhi, okay. But look at other statements also. Your answer is partially correct. Now you've corrected it. Sahi hai. Suhani and Samriddhi have answered. Aryan, the option that you sent, like, you're not looking at these, like these are the options, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it in agreement with Thomson's model?
Oh wait, ma'am. No, ma'am. That's not the one. Ma'am, that's not the one. Sorry, it's ma'am, I've sent it again.
Yeah, now you're right. Swayam also sent it. Yes, Swayam is also right. So yeah. Ashka, have you sent it yet? No, Ashka has sent. Yes, you're also right. Yeah. Good, everybody got it. So obviously it's not 2, because let's, like, how you would answer it is, first statement to correct hai. This was the result of Rutherford's model. So straight away you can be like it's either A or C or D. Now, then you don't even have to read the second statement. Just look at 3 and 4. So 4 is obviously wrong. So C nahi ho sakta. So now you just have to see whether the third statement is correct or not. He said that electrons revolve around the nucleus, right? So that is comparable to the solar system where planets are revolving around the sun in those orbits. So that's why C would be the right option. A would be the right option, 1 and 3. Okay. Uh, 20th question, are you guys able to see the whole question properly? Or is any part like getting cut off?
On the first line.
Okay. Is it visible or is it like really tiny?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible now.
From it's visible.
Okay. So this time it's Thomson's model. Samriddhi got it? Suhani got it? Ashka also got it? Swayam got it? So who's remaining? Aryan.
Ma'am, I sent. Oh, ma'am. Okay, one. Sorry, ma'am. I put it wrong.
किसी और को भेज दिया?
Ma'am, I sent it wrong.
Sujal, we were doing a workbook के questions ही, like, so you can look at the workbook level 1 ही देख रहे थे, all the MCQs, so you can go through that. Aryan, are you sending it? Look at 20th question, like by the time
Yes,
Aryan,
ma'am.
you also.
Yes, ma'am. I'm doing it. I think. Ma'am, I've sent it.
Yes. Everyone got it. Good. So we'll continue from here onwards, okay? 21. Let me zoom in again. The first model of an atom was given by Niels Bohr, some Goldstein, Rutherford, or J.J. Thomson. Yes, Samriddhi got it. Sujal, yes. Suhani, yes. Ashka, yes. Swayam, yes. Aryan,
Yes, ma'am.
you sent it, yeah?
Ma'am, no, ma'am. I'm sending.
Huh. भेजो. Yes. Cool. So this part of it, it's a lot of theory, a lot of like remembering names and postulates and all. I think you guys got the hang of it. It's good. So let's continue in the story of the atom. Okay. Correct. Like now we are getting into the properties of atom basically. Okay. So till now we figured out structure of atom. कि nucleus में protons, neutrons होते हैं और electrons are revolving around. So now let's look at some properties that you'll be dealing with whenever we talk about atoms. First one is atomic number. What is the atomic number? Batao. Please. Like, how will you find the atomic number of any atom?
And what was the question again? I'm sorry, this network issues.
What is the atomic number? What do you mean by atomic number?
Ma'am, like this sum of neutrons and protons. Sorry, electrons and protons.
No. Try
Is
again.
it?
Number of protons, right?
Yeah, number of.
See, atomic number is just the number of protons. Okay. Samriti, I think what you must have got confused with is number of protons will be equal to the number of electrons. Can anyone guess the reason why? Like, why should they be equal? So as that number of protons is equal to the number of electrons. Why?
Ma'am, maybe
Mom,
because
because positive and negative charges in an atom are equal in magnitude.
Correct. Yes. So everything is neutral, right? So nothing is charged. Default state is neutral. So neutral matlab, electrically neutral matlab, number of positive charges should be equal to the number of negative charges. So protons will always be equal to electrons. Okay. Atomic number is, by definition, it's the number of protons. But because number of protons is equal to number of electrons, you will see some places, some people saying that, oh, atomic number matlab number of electrons. Technically equally, yeah, but definition is, it's basically where it comes from is the number of protons. Okay. Another importance of the number of protons, like why is atomic number important, is because atomic number decides कौन सा element है. तो अगर 4 protons है एक atom में, then it will always be beryllium. If there are 6 protons in an atom, then it's going to be carbon. If there's 1 proton in the atom, it's going to be hydrogen. If there's 26 protons in an atom, it will be iron. Okay. So what element something will be is decided by the number of protons, which is the atomic number. That's why it's very, very important. The next one is mass number. Mass number is self-explanatory. So this tells you mass of the atom kahan se aata hai, like what makes anything heavy, like where does the mass of any matter comes from. So the mass number is the sum of the total of number of protons and number of neutrons. So every matter, all matter is made up of atoms. Atoms mein hota hai proton, neutron, electron. This is something we discussed when we were doing atoms and molecules, mole concept. Electrons are barely, they are negligible. We can ignore their mass. So the majority mass comes from protons and neutrons. That's why we have something called mass number. It is the total of protons. Mass number is protons plus neutrons. Okay. Next, isotopes. So atoms of the same elements that have same atomic number but different mass number. So कुछ atoms में क्या होता है ना? Like there is an atom, let's say, that has 6 protons and 6 neutrons and obviously 6 electrons. Protons 6 proton matlab 6 electrons ही होना चाहिए. And there's another atom that consists of 6 protons, 8 neutrons and 6 electrons. So if there are 6 protons, will both these atoms be the same element or different elements?
Same element.
Repeat.
same element.
So because both of them have 6 protons, number of protons same है, तो उनका atomic number same होगा. Atomic number is number of protons. So atoms of the same element that have the same atomic number, but this one has 6 neutrons and this one has 8 neutrons. तो इसका mass number क्या होगा?
12.
12.
And इसका mass number?
14.
14.
14. So the mass number of both these atoms are different. So these kind of pairs of atoms are called isotopes. So atoms of the same elements have same atomic number but different mass number. So they'll have the same number of protons, but they'll have different number of neutrons. Okay. So 6 protons, matlab both of these are carbon. So carbon has 3 isotopes. So there's C12, C13, and C14. Okay. So these are the different isotopes of carbon. Even hydrogen has, you have hydrogen, H2, like jiska mass number hai 2, that's called deuterium, and mass number 3, this is called tritium. Okay. Is anyone a fan of Spider-Man?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Have you guys watched like the earliest Spider-Man movies, like Tobey Maguire wala? That
Yes,
came
ma'am. I watched all of them.
watched all of them. So Spider-Man Part 2 mein, you remember what happens? There's like that Dr. Octo something.
Yeah,
Mhm.
ma'am. Goblin.
He's back now.
Yeah.
So do you remember what he does in that movie?
Ma'am, he like upgrades himself, like he tests himself.
Okay. Do you remember that he tries to capture the sun and all that stuff?
Yes, ma'am.
So what he does is like he tries to collect all the tritium so that he can use this energy, and he has like infinite supply of energy. Okay. So tritium is nothing but it's an isotope of hydrogen, jiska mass number is 3. Okay. Similarly, और कौन से isotopes हैं? Potassium, like the radioactive potassium I was talking about. Potassium ka mass number is 39, but you also have K40, like jiska mass number is 40. So this is the radioactive version of potassium. What other? Lots of elements have like isotopes. So chlorine has Cl35 and Cl37, I think. Yeah, so these are the 2 isotopes of chlorine. Many elements have like isotopes. So they all have the same atomic number. They are all the same elements, same number of protons, but the mass number is the one that changes. Okay. So you can note down these examples if you want. And once you're done, we'll look at the next part. So I've like scattered it all, but yeah, you can note it down properly. Isotopes ke examples. You can make a note of it in your chapter notes itself, or if you're like taking notes, you can put it in your notebook. Let me know when you're done. I'll erase these things. Done.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is isotopes. Then you have isobars. So isotopes mein you have same atomic number, different mass number. Isobars mein it is the reverse. So you will have different atomic numbers. So agar atomic number different ho gaya, matlab they are different elements, but they have the same mass number. Okay. So example would be potassium ka one of the isotope is 40, and there is calcium jiska mass number is also 40. So potassium has atomic number 19, mass number 40. Calcium has atomic number 20, mass number 40. So you can see different atomic numbers, so the elements themselves are different, but they have the same mass number. Donon ka mass is 40. So this is a pair of isobars. So yes, so different elements, but with the same mass number. So I want you guys to notice the word iso comes in both of them. right? So this is not the first time you'll be coming across iso something. So going forward, you have isomers, isobars, isopores, like a lot of things. So ISO stands for, if you see that there is ISO in the name, it means that, oh, those things have one same thing. Like for example, isotopes hai matlab have same atomic number, but other things like mass number is different. Isobars matlab again one thing is same, which is same mass number, but atomic numbers are also, like everything else is different. So in future you'll come across isomers, so same molecular formula, different structures, things like that. Just so isotopes, same atomic number. Isobars, same mass number. So just to not get confused, you can remember it like this. Isotopes में T है ना? So which other word has T in it? Atomic number or mass number?
Atomic number.
Atomic number. So isotopes matlab it'll be the same atomic number. So isotopes, same atomic number. So isobars does not have a T, so it's the same mass number. Okay, no confusion. Just remember this like this. Just elaboration. And elements with same atomic number, different mass number, they have the same number of protons, इसलिए same atomic number. Isotopes. Applications, yeah. An isotope of uranium is used as a fuel. Like any uranium atom, you cannot use it as a fuel. Radioactivity में जो discuss किया था. There is one specific isotope of uranium that is radioactive. There is an isotope of cobalt which is used for the treatment of cancer. Again, related to that radioactivity. Isotope of iodine is used to treat goiter. Remember carbon may there were a few isotopes like carbon, yeah, there it is, C12, C13, C14. So have you guys heard of radioactive dating?
No, ma'am.
Do you know how people could figure out that, dinosaurs lived 65 million years ago? Carbon dating, Sujal, yes, that's what I meant, another word for it. Have you guys heard of carbon dating?
Yes, ma'am.
Sujal and Aryan have heard. Others?
I've heard it, but I don't really know much about it.
So I've just heard its name.
Okay. So it's a process used to figure out the date when something existed. Like historians, agar koi fossil mila, then people could figure out, like you get information from that fossil ki did it live 65 million years ago or 200 million years ago. Agar koi skull ya kuch aisa mila, then people could figure out na ki, oh, this creature lived 30,000 years ago or abhi extinct ho gaya. Like how are they getting that information ki kitna purana hai? So that process by which they get that sort of information is called carbon dating. And carbon dating, it's very obvious. Okay, so they use carbon to figure out the date ki, when did that exist. And how they use carbon is basically, they compare ki kitna C12 hai or kitna C14 hai. Yeah, Samriddhi?
Ma'am, actually, I got disconnected from my audio. So, can you tell me what just happened, like in the last 2 minutes?
What was the last thing that you remember, Samriddhi?
Ma'am, the examples of isobars which you gave.
Oh, okay. फिर isotopes का applications discuss कर रहे थे. Like this isotope of uranium used as a fuel, like different isotopes. So I was giving one more application of isotopes. So isotope of carbon is used in carbon dating. So carbon dating का मतलब you use carbon to figure out the date of a fossil or a historical thing. Like how did they figure out this particular man, like caveman, lived 40,000 years ago? So that happens due to carbon dating. Like that process is called carbon dating. So every human body has some amount of carbon 12 and some amount of carbon 14. And as long as you're living, it's in like a certain balance, because we are constantly eating food and pooping out food, and we are building muscles and all of that, right? But once a living creature dies, there is nothing to maintain that balance. So whatever carbon 14 is there, it's a radioactive isotope, so it breaks down into carbon 12. So we know living creature may, when it is living, how much C12 is supposed to be there, how much C14 is supposed to be there. And we know how much time carbon takes to get converted from here to here. Like let's say 1 gram of C14 breaks down in like 3,000 years or something like that. So by figuring out, okay, kitna C14 hai, kitna C12 hai, you can like place a time to it. Kitna time laga isko radioactive hone, like breakdown. So that process is called carbon dating. So that's an additional application of isotopes, that isotope of carbon is used in dating, like figuring out fossils' age.
Okay, ma'am.
Isobars, different elements having, these two I have told you guys about. So argon also is there, iska mass number is 40. Lithium, these are isotopes. You see that same mass hai, like in different same atomic number, different mass. Here you see that mass number is the same, atomic number is different. So these are isotopes, these are isobars. Okay, now we are getting into two concepts are remaining. I'll show you guys a thing. So I'm Googling what is mass of chlorine. Mass of chlorine, I'm getting it to be 35.453 atomic mass units. But we just studied that mass number is, number of protons plus number of neutrons, right? So does that mean chlorine atom contains half a neutron or half a proton or something like that?
No, ma'am.
No, that's just the weight of
Yes,
the
ma'am.
proton or neutron, right?
No, why is there decimal number when we're talking about, like this is calculated in atomic mass units. U matlab AMU, right? And whenever something is expressed in AMU, this is basically number of protons plus number of neutrons. Whenever it's in grams, then yes, like, it's like the weight, that sort of a thing. But this is not grams, this is AMU. So why is it in decimals?
I think it's because like protons, neutrons are really tiny and it doesn't have much weight. So
Electrons.
it's
Electrons are the ones that don't have weight. Protons and neutrons, they contribute equally to the mass.
then I think like it's because of, I think they are divided. Neutrons are like half. They get broken.
Ma'am, the description is given like the second lightest of halogens. It appears between fluorine. Is that the reason?
No, this is just talking about chlorine. You have halogens are this group of elements. You have fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. It's just telling, okay, chlorine is belonging to this group of halogens and nothing related to that.
But
So
ma'am, protons and neutrons are never present in half or 1/4 or 3/4. So it's definitely not that.
even other elements, for example, bromine Kavi is displayed here as 79.9, carbon is 12.0107. Hydrogen also is like 1.00784. So where are people getting these decimals from? So the answer, like why the standard calculated value, like that people use is in decimal, is because of isotopes. Yeah. So isotopes are always present. Like if you have a sample of chlorine, if you take some chlorine in a box, it's difficult to predict whether this sample would have only chlorine 35 or whether there is going to be chlorine 37 also. And if there is chlorine 37, then how much of it is there? Like is it like 50-50, whether it's 70-30, 90-10? This proportion may have, like it's difficult to figure that out. So to account for it, because we know that all elements are present in isotopes, like for all elements their isotopes also exist, we account for that in terms of the mass in this way. Okay, so what people do is like consider the case of chlorine. It has two isotopes, Cl35 and Cl37. So if there are two types, as I said, उस box में कितना Cl35 है, कितना Cl37 है, we don't know that. So how do we get the exact mass of chlorine? Should we take it in terms of 35 grams or should we take it as 37 grams? Or should we take the average 50-50? So to avoid that sort of confusion, we calculate the weighted average of the atomic mass. Okay, so we don't know what is the proportion of chlorine in that particular box, but we know that overall Earth may chlorine exists in 3:1 ratio. So basically 75% is chlorine 35 and 25% is chlorine 37. So when you calculate the mass, you take 75% of chlorine 35, so that's 35 AMU, plus 25% of chlorine 37, so that's 37 AMU. So calculate both of these and whatever final answer you get, obviously when you're dealing with percentages and all, it's going to be in decimal points. So that's why your final mass number, whenever you Google something, you get it in decimals for this reason. It's all the weighted averages that are calculated. Similarly for carbon ka weight, you saw it's 12.010 something, because you do the same thing. Like we have carbon 12, carbon 13, carbon 14, right? So it's like 97 something % of carbon 12 plus 2.8% into carbon 13 plus 0.2% of carbon 14. Like this kind of calculation, that's why you get the average of all of these. Okay. So this means that if you take a certain amount of chlorine, like if you take it in a box, it will contain both isotopes of chlorine and their average atomic mass is 35.5. How did we get 35.5? By doing this calculation. Okay. Clear about this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Sujal and Samriddhi have said yes. Swayam, Aryan, Ashka and
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
no doubts in this, right?
No, ma'am.
Cool. That leaves us with rules and conventions, like rules of how electrons are distributed in orbits. This I think you guys are fairly familiar with, so I'll let you guys take the lead on it. And if you guys are stuck somewhere, I'll help you out with this. Okay. So if we have an atom, nucleus है center में, and you have all the orbits around it, right? So you have the K shell, and then you have L, and then you have M, you have N. Okay, so how are electrons distributed in all these shells?
Now, like in the first shell, it's 2, and then it's 8, 8, and 8.
2, yes. But what is the maximum capacity of electrons in any shell?
8.
No. Like अगर ज़्यादा like बड़ा shell है तो it can take more electrons, no?
Is it 24?
No. इतना छोटे shell में like you can't fit 24 electrons in this, right? अगर if it's bigger, then you can fit 24.
Ma'am, like, could you repeat the question because I couldn't hear.
What is the maximum capacity of any shell? Like, what is the formula that you'd use to figure out the maximum capacity for एक shell का?
So like I think first shell we all know that maximum capacity is 2, and next after that everything is 8.
8, right?
Yeah, 8.
First is
No, 16. Wait, 16. It is 16.
16, not correct. Close to the actual number, but it's not 16.
Ma'am, is it
Ma'am,
17?
it is 18.
Mom, it's 18 and 32,
18,
right?
yeah.
Where did you get these numbers? How did you get these numbers? Formula क्या है?
Ma'am, it's 2 plus like 2 and then plus 8 maybe.
Give you a hint. K shell, KLMN are the names. You can also call them like first shell, the N is equal to 1. Second shell, N is equal to 2. Third shell, N is equal to 3. Fourth shell, N equal to 4, and so on.
Ma'am, you keep adding this thing. 4, I guess. No.
What is the formula? Like, what should I write here? Maximum capacity K. This was
2n square.
yes. So maximum capacity
What?
2n square.
Okay.
So this is something that Bohr had given out. He's the one who mentioned. Yeah. So like each shell can take a maximum of 2n square electrons. So the first shell, maximum 2 into 1 square, only 2 electrons can fit in. Second shell, 2 into 2 square, so that's why a maximum of 8 electrons can fit. The third shell can take up to 18 electrons, 2 into 3 square. And the fourth one can take up to 32 electrons. And then the fifth one can take up to 2 into 5 square. So that's 50 electrons that जा सकता है. And it continues like that. So this, you need to be careful, you guys. This is not the arrangement of electrons. This is simply the maximum capacity. तो इससे कम हो सकता है लेकिन इससे ज्यादा नहीं जाएगा. M shell, if at all there's like 20 electrons, only 18 will go into M and then the other 2 will go into the next shell. So that's how it like continues.
Ma'am, this is the maximum capacity. Like, normal it is 2888, right?
Yes. But in reality, so I had mentioned, right, like this is the very simplest form. It gets more complicated when we continue this in 11th standard. So there the explanation gets clearer. So you have something called orbital, like subshells and all. Like har ek shell mein you have individual subshells and all. So that will make it clearer. But electronic configuration continues like this. Because you guys have only up to 20 elements, this is how it follows. While you're filling it up, filling electrons. So 2, 8, 8, and then so on.
Like I had heard this like somewhere, but then I thought it's fake.
No, this is real. So there's something called S, P, D, F orbitals and all that.
So I'm like, is there like any different name for this thing?
Let's take quantum mechanical model and electronic configuration. Now we are just learning, it's like step 1. It's like, think of it as when you were small, you only learned about the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then when
Yeah.
you grew up a little bit, then you were introduced to fractions. अच्छा 1/2 भी होता है, then 3/4 होता है, 5/8 होता है. And then grow up a little more, like 5th, 6th grade में, you're introduced to negative numbers, like -1, -5, or so. Similar to that.
Decimals.
So this is like the first step, electronic configuration ka. And then when you go to the 11th standard, you will learn this more in detail. Why is it 288 when iska capacity is 80? All of that other stuff.
So ma'am, it's 2n square, right? The formula.
Huh. This is the maximum capacity. 2n square is the max capacity.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do the filling up of electrons for every element. Acha, before we do the filling up, this is the notation, okay? How do you usually represent an atom? Is you write the symbol of that element. So, agar helium ki baat kar rahe ho, to you write He, which is the symbol for helium. And the numbers upar niche represent atomic number and mass number. Hamesha mass number is on top and atomic number is on bottom. So that's what you can observe over here also. This is how lithium is represented. This is how potassium is represented. Okay, always mass number on top, atomic number on the bottom.
Ma'am, I got disconnected. Ma'am. Could you repeat?
So
Like
this
what?
is how you denote an atom. Okay, so
Okay,
you
ma'am. Okay.
symbol.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. I know this, ma'am. But we had like I have a 3
25. Oh, like 5 minutes, right? We'll end this session soon. Next class, we'll do questions related to this. So this is the end of the chapter. All you had was the history, and then, how is an atom arranged, like protons, neutrons, kahan pe, and electrons, that configuration and all that. Okay.
Yeah.
So next week, we will continue. We'll do the electronic configuration and answer the rest of the questions of this chapter. All right, cool.